The reality is, I'm an idiot. And I'm not being flip about it. I don't understand very complicated things. So if all you have is empathy, then you have a hippie commune, and you're not actually going to cure anything. But if all you're doing is driving the numbers, you're going to have a short lifespan and break the machine also, and you might have a spike and then you'll disappear. Or all your best people say, I hate it here, and they go work somewhere else and take all of their brilliance somewhere else. So there is a balance, but there's also a hierarchy. It's not 50-50. There's no such thing as 50-50. It doesn't exist. You can't say, well, we're 50% driven by performance and 50% driven by culture, because you will face decisions where one of those things has to will sacrifice the other. The question is, which one are you going to choose? There has to be a bias towards people. There has to be a bias towards the teamwork, the environment. And the will to succeed is driven by the belief in the cause. If the cause is clear and the metrics, and you're letting people see the metrics so they feel like we're making progress. Again, go back to that marathon analogy, right? Which is, you're exhausted, you're tired, but you're getting closer to the finish line. You start running faster, not slower.
That's a
right?
good point.
And so it's keeping people included to know what the metrics mean, and which ones are trending and which ones are absolute. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with the drive to succeed, as long as there's a context within which that drive exists. The reality is, I'm an idiot. And I'm not being flip about it. I don't understand very complicated things, and so I ask a lot of questions, so that the person who's telling me something complicated, who's talking in terms as if I understand them,
Sure.
finance or neuroscience, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And I ask enough questions just so that I understand it. So is what you're saying this? No, that's not what I'm saying. Well, what are you? So, I'll give you a perfect example. So, a long time ago, I had a client. They were a public company, and they brought me on to do some work for them. But they invited me to sit in on a meeting from the consultant that they had hired. And so all the C-level executives and me, and this consultant was giving a presentation about something or other.
And this is junior marketing.
This is when I had my little marketing company. And all the C-level executives sitting there nodding and taking notes on the PowerPoint that they had printed up in front of them, and I had it as well, and I didn't understand a frickin' word of it.
Yeah.
Right? I was looking around and so I'd raise my hand and say, I'm really, really sorry. I know I'm the only person in this room without an MBA, but this doesn't make sense. You say A plus B equals C, but based on your logic, A plus B equals D. Can you just say it again, please? I'm really sorry to slow the meeting down, everybody. And you could see the consultant getting frustrated with me and would try and explain it again. I said, I'm so sorry. And one by one, all the C-level executives said, yeah, I don't understand it either. Now, if the idiot hadn't spoken up and said, I don't understand, they all would have nodded their heads for fear of looking stupid, because they didn't understand. And they would have paid a lot of money for a document they didn't understand, and they would never have used it and would have sat on a shelf. And it's because I'm okay being the idiot. That's why I'm not being flip. I'm okay everybody in the room going, oh, because I have to ask questions until I understand it. But the reality is once I can get to the point where I understand it, I can get it so simple that I understand it, and I can say it in simple terms. That means other people understand it too.
First of all, you have to know what the definition of introversion and extroversion are, right? Socially awkward is not, I know socially awkward extroverts, right? It's not if you're uncomfortable, it's not social awkwardness, that's not introversion. I like, in terms of, it's Susan Cain's definition, it's about energy, which is an introvert loses energy from social interaction, an extrovert gains energy from social interaction. So an introvert wakes up in the morning with 5 coins, every social interaction they spend a coin, at the end they are depleted. An extrovert wakes up with no coins, every social interaction they get a coin, and by the end they feel rich. Like going to a party, they gives them energy, versus going to a party sucks your energy.
So
right?
then I'm an introvert.
Right. So I'm a big introvert, right? And what I have learned is I have a big personality, but I'm still an introvert. So what I've learned is that it doesn't matter which one you are. The question is how do you leverage what you got, right? And so I go to parties with an extrovert, right? Because that way they can do all the talking and I can just stand there and just eat the cheese. And And
That is fantastic.
by the way, you can always spot me. You can always tell. You go to a party with me, and you will see me standing in corners or lingering by the. And when there's a barbecue, I'm always the chef because then I don't have to talk to anybody, right? But if you notice, I've learned to leverage what I have. So it makes me a much better public speaker to be an introvert because I don't like holding court. It freaks me out. But I like talking to individuals. So you'll notice when I speak, I talk to you, and then I talk to you, and then I talk to you, and I give everybody a whole idea or a whole thought, which actually what I learned helps me actually connect with an audience much better. But it's because I'm an introvert. So if you're an introvert, of course you can be a leader. It has nothing to do. Some of the best leaders, have you ever heard of Jim Senegal? Most people haven't, because he's awkward and shy. He's a phenomenal leader. He's the founder and former CEO of Costco, right? Like there's phenomenal leaders. Richard Branson, introvert. He's really awkward, right? Like these are phenomenal leaders who are all introverts, right? But the one thing they all have in common, whether you're extroverted or introvert, is undying belief in your cause, right? And the charisma is not how much energy you have. The charisma is how much you're willing to devote to that. And if it's all of it, you have charisma, you have leadership capacity.